Hi, my name is Alicia Gray, and I'm a high school math teacher of 17 years. I wanted a platform that allowed my students to compliment each other and spread positivity in the classroom, and to communicate with me to let me know how they were doing personally and academically. In addition, I wanted data so that I could make timely interventions and also make changes to upcoming lessons. My son put these ideas to life in ClassNetwork, which is a multifaceted communication tool in one platform. In this video, I'm going to provide a broad overview of ClassNetwork, and please watch other videos for a more detailed explanation of each section in ClassNetwork. The instructor dashboard acts as a home page for ClassNetwork. You can add any classes at any time. When you add a class, you would receive a code, and then when the students create an account, they would then put that code in and join your class. I'm going to use second period pre-calculus. This is data from my actual class last year. The names and emails have been changed, but this allows you to see what an actual class looks like. You can disable or delete this classroom at any time. Let's look at student list. This is the list of all of your students, and you can disable them if they've left your class, and then it will show up in red if you disable them. You can re-enable them at any time as well. Let's go into bucket of compliments. The bucket of compliments from the teacher view, you have different settings. You can enable the compliments, and you can require compliment approval, which I always recommend. You can allow your students to send private comments just to you. And the partner compliments only is if you have assigned partners for that day, which I'm going to go over in the next section, then they would only be able to compliment those specific partners for that day. I'm going to go ahead and click that so you can see what that looks like. Students can put in free responses, and you can also have them pick from a list of pre-generated compliments, which I'll show what that looks like from the student view in a minute. We have a daily compliment of 3. You can send compliments to your entire class and do a broadcast, or you can send compliments or comments to your individual students. You can see here, this is my bucket of compliments, and these are compliments from my second period class that my students have sent me throughout the semester, and I could keep going and going, but you can see there's quite a bit, and I have loved looking back on these because, again, if I'm having a bad day, it just reminds me that, hey, I'm not perfect, but I'm still making a difference. Now, I don't have any pending compliments because it's summer right now, but I can look at any previous dates. I'm going to look at April 24th. I'm going to click View All, and these are compliments that my students have sent to each other. AI does filter these before students send them. It lets them know if there's a tone or if there's anything inappropriate, and I'll have them retype their compliment. So these are specific to April 24th that my students have sent to different students. We can look at this from the student view, and I'm going to click a student to simulate. I'm going to go ahead and look at Aaron Sloan, and this is what it looks like from Aaron's point of view. He can send a comment or compliment to me, and if you see, there are only 3 students in the drop down because I picked for it to enable partners only for compliments, but if I had not enabled that, they would be able to see the entire class and send compliments to a maximum of 3 students. The pre-generated comments look like this, and they can pick from any of these. I have many students that write in a free response and then add one of these as well. These are the comments from me, and then these are specific compliments that this student has received. So they can click any of these, and these stay in their bucket so that they can see them and go back and read them. Let's go ahead and look at partners. With partners, you can create groups of 2, 3, 4, or 5. And the great thing about this is that you can create filters. You can put specific students that you would like to be together. And I'm going to pick 3 students so you can see that I can actually create groups of 3. I'm just going to click these 3 so that you can see what that looks like. And then I would enable that. And if I have any that overlap, they will show in red. That way I will know that I need to redo that. And I can also restrict students. So as we all know as teachers, there's some students that should not be together. And you can do 2 or 3. You'd have a maximum of 3 because this is a group of 3. But let's say Desmond and Easton should definitely not be in the same group. I'm going to click Create Group. And then, of course, I would enable this. And again, you can do as many as you would like. Click Set Partners. And I can look over and see what my groups look like. And this, I had 31 students in this class, so I have 1 person left over, and I can make a decision to just put that person in another group once I see who's absent. But if I don't like that combination, I can just keep clicking Set Partners until I see something that I like. And then, of course, I can save this at any time, and then I can use these same groups at another date. I would just go down here to group sizes where I've saved them, and then click on one that I've saved from a previous date. Personal reflections, and this is where you could assign some personal growth topics. I'm going to be using growth mindset right when I come back to school, and I'm going to have my students reflect on growth mindset during the month of August. And then I would be able to look at each individual reflection. And then, of course, I would assign that again at the end of the month after we've been talking about that, and then see if they have possibly grown in that growth reflection. The learning targets. For a more detailed explanation, please look at this specific video for the learning targets. The first thing is to go to your Learning Target Manager, and this allows you to create one unit, one learning target, and then share that with multiple classes. So here you would type in the unit or chapter name, click New Unit. Let's look at Algebra 2 Module 3. These are specific sections for that unit. I've typed those in, and then I can edit them as well. A power to this website is that if I click the edit, I can add a link that allows additional support, maybe something from Khan Academy. I have been creating my own videos using Screencastify that explains that specific learning target, a quick synopsis of it, and then I review the learning target in Screencastify. And my students can click that link so they have additional support if they need to review that section or those learning targets, or if they have been absent, then they can go back and rewatch that video. But again, you can put any link there. It's quite a tool. And in addition, you can export your section or the unit to another teacher, and you can also import those as well so that not everybody is reinventing the wheel and doing the same thing. You would then, after you've gone to the Learning Target Manager, you would then assign learning targets. These are also called exit tickets, check for understanding. You would have to assign this on your own. This is not done in ClassNetwork, so I have examples of learning target quiz packets that I would pass out to my students, and then they would complete it at the end of the lesson and then put their data into ClassNetwork. So again, they are self-grading so that they know immediately if they are understanding that learning target. And then by putting the data in here, I know as well and can do interventions. If you go to the additional resource tab on the home page, you can download what my learning targets look like and see what I'm giving my students. So let's look at Algebra 2 Module 3. You would pick a unit, and then you would pick a section. And I'm actually going to do Module 7. And let's do solve exponential equations. And then you can pick how you want the students to reflect. They can do a confidence slider, and you can do one of these three or all three. And you would put how many questions they are reflecting on. And they would then be able to put, for example, answered correctly, independently, answered correctly but received help. So this just isn't a right or wrong. Answered incorrectly because I made a small mistake. Answered incorrectly because I'm not understanding the learning target. And then if they did not understand it, then it has them do an additional reflection. You would assign the reflection, and then this would show up on their end as something they need to complete. And I'll show what that looks like in a minute as well. Let's go ahead and see then what the data looks like once they input the data. I'm going to go ahead and go to 10.3. So I assigned this on February 20th. The additional learning resource is the link that I've assigned that has a video explanation of that lesson. So again, if they're absent or if they just need some additional help, they can click that link. The View Student Responses Report. This is again the data that I'm always looking at before the end of class. This is where I've signed the free response, self-reflection, and I could then read and get an overview of how everyone is doing. And this only takes me a few seconds to read each class period. And if I see that someone is giving me feedback that they are not understanding or they need some specific help, I'm going to make sure to call that student into my flex period or make sure that I connect with them before the end of the period. In addition, I can look and see each individual question, and I can see that number one, that my students did very well. I did have some that missed question 2. I've had a class period where I had 40% of my students miss the same question. I knew I had to go back and reteach something. So then I have again the data for each individual question, but then I also have a summary of how my students are doing overall. I make sure to always look at this before the end of the period. So if I have anyone that is only gotten 2 out of 4 or 0 out of 4 correct, I make sure to connect with them or at least tell them I'm going to be calling you into flex period so they have the confidence that they will learn that learning target. And the no response, these were students that were absent, and we've just added this, so now I will be able to make sure to connect with these that haven't responded to see, hey, did you not understand this or were you absent? Let's make sure that you input this and finish your learning target quiz. And then from the student view, I'm going to pick a student to simulate so you can see what this looks like. I'm going to click Aaron. And this is what this looks like from Aaron's perspective. He doesn't have any pending reflections, and if he did, they would show up in yellow, and he would need to click those and complete those. And these are all the learning target reflections he has completed. And let's look at 10.1 if he wanted to go back and see how he answered his questions. His free response reflection makes pretty good sense to me. And then also shows how he did. He answered correctly independently on all 4 of the questions, but right here where it says additional learning resource, he can go into that at any time and watch the link I have provided that gives an explanation of that learning target. So my students use these when they're reviewing for a test, again, or if they've been absent, or if they're just not really understanding something and they need that additional review. I'm going to go back to instructor view. And this is the broad overview of ClassNetwork. Please see specific videos that give a more detailed explanation of each section. And please email if you have any questions. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel for additional videos. Thank you for watching.